I have a question. How many times have you made the statement in a relationship that I want my own personal space? Or how many times have you heard that you are acting very emotionally distant? Do you think everything is alright with you? So, my question is, what are these two terms? What is personal space and what is emotional distance, and how do they differ from each other? And this is what we will be discussing today in today's topic. For starters, personal space refers to the physical and psychological boundaries that individuals set in order to grow within a relationship. Personal space refers to the need of individuals to have their own space, maybe physically or maybe psychologically, in the form of personal space or in the form of time or in the form of any kind of views that they have. You can have different views. You can have a me time. You and your partner can visit different places. You can do anything that you want separately without engaging in conflict, and that is called having a personal space in your relationship. Now, personal space is important because it helps you grow. It is important because it prevents you from feeling suffocated in your relationship. It is important for maintaining a self or maintaining a sense of self, or for self-care of the individual. It is regarded as a positive aspect, and it is respected, and it is encouraged in a relationship. Now, the same cannot be said for emotional distance. Emotional distance refers to the way in which you feel emotionally disconnected in a relationship. Suppose you and your partner are having an emotional disconnect because of financial reasons. You and your partner can have an emotional disconnect or an emotional distance because you two are not able to communicate with each other. There is some sort of unresolved conflict. So, emotional distance can manifest in the form of lack of emotional support, lack of understanding, or lack of empathy in a relationship. Unlike personal space, emotional distance is not seen as a positive aspect. It is seen as a negative aspect, and it is seen something that you should repair early on in order to prevent your relationship from facing permanent difficulties. So once we have understood that what is personal space and what is emotional distance, we have to understand we have to explore them in a better manner. Now imagine you and your partner have been living for several years, or you have been together for several years, and you need your me time. You and your partner take out time when in the same house you are in different rooms, or maybe even you are sitting in the same place, but you are not disturbing each other. You are reading, they are maybe watching something, or they are reading, or they are doing the job, and nobody disturbs each other. That is spending alone time, or that is maintaining boundaries. Or what is one more way of expressing your personal space in a relationship? Maybe you like some destination and your partner likes some more destination. So both of you go alone in that destination. You do not accompany each other. You respect your personal space. You also respect your peace of mind, and because of that, you two are going separately, yet you are happy. You are happily exploring new places separately. So that is one more way of showing personal space in a relationship. But in emotional distancing, you and your partner, I'm saying for example, you and your partner are having conflicts that you are not able to manage because you are not communicating. Now the conflict can be because of resolved or unresolved financial issues, or it can be because of lack of communication, or it can be because of lack of physical or emotional intimacy. But overall, emotional distancing does not work in favor of relationships. Now, what are some of the causes of personal space, or what are some of the causes of emotionally distancing yourself in a relationship? Now, personal space we have discussed. It can be because you need to establish your individuality. You don't want to mix with them, or you don't want to feel suffocated. You want to pursue your personal passions. You want to pursue your hobbies. You want to cultivate your sense of self without them coming in your way, or you want them to grow without you coming in their way. You want to coexist in harmony, and you can do that by building your personal space. The other is self-care. A lot of times while caring for others, we forget to take care of ourselves. So personal space is a way of establishing that I am important. So when the need for self-care arises, when you think that you need to care for yourself, is when you think that you need your personal space in a relationship, or the need for privacy. Even when in the closest of relationships, you sometimes may feel suffocated with the other person. You may feel the need to be alone for a moment, and that alone time is called having personal space. In emotional distancing, the factors differ. In emotional distancing, there are communication issues. So you and your partner do not have proper communication, or there is poor communication, or there is a breakdown in communication. You avoid communicating with each other, you do not listen to each other, you have difficult conversations, or you fail to express your feelings properly. There is some sort of unresolved conflict, there is lack of emotional intimacy, there are stress factors that are further aggravating the problem, and that is causing a loss of trust. There is actually the underlying cause for emotional distance can be attributed to different emotional needs. So at one time you and your partner had the same emotional needs, but now priorities have come in between you. The priority may be in the form of kids, priority in the form of job, priority in the form of anything else, that is causing a rift in your relationship. So when we are discussing the distance between, or difference between personal space and emotional distance, the most important difference between the two is the nature and the purpose of the two problems. Personal space refers to physical and psychological boundaries that are set in order to have a healthy relationship. But in emotional distance, there is a lack of emotional connection, that is the root cause of the problem, or that is the nature of the problem. So we also have to talk about focus. The focus in personal space is physical and psychological boundaries, but the focus in emotional distance is the lack of communication, or the quality of the emotional connection, which is subpar, which is causing all of these problems. And most importantly, you have to understand the positive and the negative aspects of the problem, because personal space is viewed as a positive thing and it helps in your well-being, but emotional distance does not have a positive aspect to it, rather it furthers you away from your relationships. Now what are the causes for personal space, or what are the causes for emotional distance? As I discussed earlier, the need for self-care, the need to balance priorities, the need to manage stress is what causes a need for personal space in a relationship. And what causes emotional distance? Unresolved conflicts, or poor communication, or being unable to express yourself properly is what causes an emotional distancing in your relationship. So when we are talking about these two things, we have to understand that what are the signs. There are some subtle signs that you will observe that will help you know when you need personal space, or when you are getting emotionally distant in your relationship. So what are the signs that you need your personal space? When you have a feeling of being overwhelmed, when you feel that it's too much for you, you need your own space, that is when it is the time to communicate that I need my personal space. When you desire your alone time, if you constantly feel that I am doing this, I am doing that, I also need some time for myself, you value your independence, you want to balance your priorities, or you want to have a healthy relationship, these are the signs that you need your personal space in your relationship. And what are the signs that you are being emotionally distant? The sign are, you are, first as I discussed, you are not being able to communicate, there is a decrease, or there is a noticeable decrease in physical and emotional intimacy. Whatever or whenever when you are talking, there is a kind of conflict, or in order to avoid conflict, you are not talking to each other, and there are behavioral changes. You or your partner always appear withdrawn, or irritable, or distant. there is no proper communication, or the base of the relationship, that was trust, has been long gone, causing these problems. So what are some of the quick hacks in which you can deal with this problem? So for personal space, obviously you can schedule a me time, you can have your own space. There should be a dedicated space. This is my room, this is my space, this is where I will be. Or there will be a specific time from 9 to 10 or from 10 to 11. This is my time. I will read a book, I will do TV. No one should question me. Or between 9 to 10 or between 10 to 11, you can watch a movie, you do whatever you feel like doing. I will not question you. This is what is done to maintain your personal space. So these are all the things that you have to consider when you are talking about these things. So what are some of the quick hacks for dealing with emotional distance in a relationship? When we talked about personal space, we understood that setting boundaries, and by setting your own personal space or by communication, you can do this. But how to deal with emotional distancing in a relationship? You have to start conversing. You have to initiate conversations. You have to practice active listening. Just talking your heart out is not going to help. If you want the other person to listen to you, you also need to listen to them. You have to plan quality time. We have to set aside our schedules and we have to go somewhere together. We have to spend time together. You have to practice self-awareness. Not every time it is the other person's fault. Sometimes it may be my fault as well. Most importantly, you have to put in effort to rekindle your relationship or rekindle the intimacy in your relationship. Sometimes some of these reasons or some of these conflicts cannot be resolved by doing these things, and this is when you need to consult a professional or you need to seek help. So when is a time, or what are some of the signs when you need to seek personal help for personal space? See, personal space, you can need your personal space, but what if your partner does not respect your personal space? What if there is constant conflict regarding the idea of a personal space? If disagreements about personal space frequently result in conflict or frequently result in intense conflicts, then it is time to seek professional help, or it is time to consult a counselor about your relationship. If you are unable to communicate, you would love to tell your partner that you need to, or you need your personal space, but despite a lot of efforts, you are not able to communicate, you feel neglected, and you think that all of these are impacting your well-being, then it is time to stop taking matters in your own hands and consult a licensed professional who can help you deal with this. What are the signs when you need professional help in emotional distancing? When you or your partner have persistent conflict, or you appear withdrawn in order to avoid personal conflict, or when you have trust issues, no matter how hard you try, you are not able to trust each other, or you're not able to communicate with each other, when there is a communication breakdown, or when there is a loss of connection and you are not able to sort this on your own, then it is time when you need to seek professional help for your condition. You always have to remember that seeking help from a qualified therapist or a counselor is always going to help you. It does not signify that your relationship has failed. It signifies that you are striving, or you are making an effort to protect your relationship, and this should be encouraged, because therapy can go a long way in providing a safe and a structured environment to protect and safeguard your relationship. Thank you for listening to me. If you like my video, please press the like button. Thank you.